One of the most confounding videos I have ever made when it comes to the way that people interact with or perceive the video has to be the video I made a while back called "Do Performance Chips Actually Do Anything?" Now, I understand a few things regarding especially short form content like that video, which is one, you have to go into short form content understanding that a lot of people are not as educated on the topic that they are choosing to discuss as they probably should be, and they may even unintentionally be spreading misinformation about the topic. I get that, okay? I completely understand. I also understand that 60 seconds is not a very long time to describe every single detail about a specific topic to the point where people that might actually know something about the topic or people that just weren't paying enough attention to the video won't end up being confused or disagreeing in some way and angrily typing in the comments about how stupid they think I am and how much they hope my family burns in a terrible accident. Just kidding, I haven't gotten those comments. I've just gotten comments that have told me how stupid I am. And I also understand for the third point that sometimes in some of these videos where I have had people that end up being confused or angry about what I said in the video, I go back and watch them and realize that maybe I could have explained the topic a little bit more clearly, or maybe I could have used different wording that maybe would have left more people less confused with the end result of the video. But I have gone back and watched this particular video multiple times. I mean, numerous times over the course of months whenever I get a comment about someone being confused or irritated about what I said in the video, and I genuinely do not understand how so many people have walked away thinking that I have no idea what I'm talking about and what I said was completely untrue. I feel I need to put this out there, not that probably anyone who actually watched that video is gonna end up watching this one, but I understand a lot of people are out there spreading misinformation because they decide to talk about something that they have no actual logical reason to talk about, and they have no factual evidence to back up what they're saying. But I implore you, please, if ever you watch one of my videos and you think, what is this guy talking about? He must be wrong. Please, just look up what I said. Please. I am not above being wrong by any means. I do not want to put the idea out there that for some reason I am always right about everything. That is absolutely not the case. However, unlike a lot of people, I promise and assure you that if, especially for one of these short form content videos about a series that I especially used to do a fair amount, which was common car myths and whether or not they're true, I hate misinformation. In fact, the whole reason I started this particular series is because I found it so frustrating how much misinformation about cars, the way that they work, and certain features and or issues surrounding them was around. There was misinformation everywhere about a lot of different topics, and I wanted to do my part to clarify this. So if I am making a video topic, rest assured that I have done my absolute best to make sure that I, to a reasonable degree, know what I am talking about and what I'm saying on the video topic and can relay accurate, factual information. I am a human being though, so sometimes I might say things incorrectly, as in I use the wrong wording, or I maybe just don't describe something as well as I intend to, and maybe there's even little bits and pieces of things that I might accidentally say that I miss in editing or whatever. I'm not perfect, but I promise you that I'm doing my best to make sure that everything I say, when it comes to something that I am presenting as a teaching aid, that what you are hearing is facts, not just opinions. But with all of that being said and all of that in mind, so many people seem to walk away confused or frustrated by this past video about this topic. So let's break down these points just a little bit more for maybe if you have seen this video before, or so if you're watching this so you can see this video instead of that one, and I can clarify every point that I was making to a reasonable degree. First of all, I did say this in the video. I don't know how this flew over so many people's heads.
Nothing goes over my head.
Incorrect, but it really seemed to. I specifically said in the video that I was not talking about, when mentioning performance chips, a literal performance tune that is designed for a specific vehicle. For instance, this right here, this is a handheld tuning device. This is a SCT RevX tuner. This one in particular is a Bama Performance version, if that'll, yeah, finally focus. And I use this tuning device to tune my Mustang. My Mustang has 1 7/8 inch long tube headers from MBRP, and it has a BBK cold air intake, okay? So with these modifications being done, especially the long tube headers, that is something that could potentially make the car run lean and would not be good long-term for the engine. And in addition, with the factory ECU calibration being on the car, you're not going to actually unlock all of the performance potential that having the long tube headers on the car would potentially get you without updating the ECU with a custom tune flashed onto it for the modifications that the car has. So performance tunes for your specific vehicle are absolutely beneficial and are not what I am talking about. I do recognize though that performance chips has been slang for a general performance tune for a long time, especially pre-OBD2 cars, so 1998, when that was actually standardized on all makes and models. A lot of cars beforehand, they had much more simple electronics for controlling, well, everything in the engine, but in particular, the fueling. And so it wasn't exactly the same as modern day with a dedicated ECU that you literally flash a different tuning file onto it. So in a lot of cases, you would get a chip to plug into your ECU, or even basically a chip that is a replacement for your ECU that you would put in the car, and that would have a performance tune on it that would then update the way that your car runs for these specific modifications, or even just to get a little bit more performance out of a stock vehicle. So performance chips in that way have been around for a long time. In modern day vehicles, sometimes chip is still used as slang for like a handheld tuner like this, but this is not a performance chip. I understand that, again, that is a really common slang term, and I'm sure that's where a lot of this confusion came from, because people hear performance chip and they think of, I mean, especially it's something that's still used all the time on like diesel trucks and stuff like that. At least, you know, they'll call even a handheld tuner like this a performance chip. So when you come to the video and hear me talking about these things, it could be confusing to you. However, because that is such a common slang term and has been for a long time, the actual problem that I was talking about in this video, the specific products that you need to be careful about, have capitalized on that slang term. And you will see performance chips all the time that are normally just a weird little thing that you plug into your OBD2 that is like 20 bucks or something. You can find on like Amazon or eBay or Alibaba or what, Temu probably. Any website ever that sells anything to do with cars, you can probably find some bogus performance chip with all sorts of crazy claims like it, you know, increases your horsepower, your torque, your fuel economy. I don't know, it increases your happiness in your marriage probably. Like all of these things, and that it works for any make and model. Let me tell you a little something, that is completely impossible, and let me describe why. There are performance handheld tuners like the SCT ones, Diablo Sport, whatever. There's a lot of different handheld tuners like this. Cobb Access Port is another one of them. A lot of these other brands though, they will have a ton of different platforms that their tuners work for. So you might go onto SCT's website and or whatever tuner it might be, and a tuner like this might be advertised that it works for all sorts of different manufacturers like, you know, Audi, VW, BMW, Mercedes, Ford, Chevy, whatever. And that's because they have baseline off-the-shelf tunes that they have designed for different vehicles for a ton of different brands and a ton of different platforms. But usually when you buy one of these, you buy it for your specific vehicle, and those tunes that are available are loaded onto the device that you buy, and it then marries to your vehicle, and those are the only tunes that you get. So although you could view those as working for any make and model, first of all, they don't literally work for any make and model. They have availability for a widespread amount, but you have to choose which one you are doing. Why? Well, that's because of the other point about why this claim that these products make is completely impossible, which is the process for unlocking an ECU in order to apply a reflash of the tune on different brands and even different vehicles within certain brands is wildly different. You can't plug a little device in, even if it actually worked, we'll get into that in a minute, but you can't just plug a single device into any vehicle and it's going to be able to unlock and apply a tune to any ECU. It's just not possible. It's not going to happen. Some modern day ECUs are incredibly difficult to unlock, even by very, very skilled, talented, and smart tuners. Tuners as in individuals, not a handheld tuner. So the idea of a device that can literally unlock and tune any ECU that it's plugged into is not only completely improbable, it's just pretty much impossible. And in addition, you cannot apply the exact same tune to any vehicle and achieve the same results. For instance, you can't see it in this shot, I understand, but I have a 1997 Dakota with the 3.9 Magnum V6, and I also have right here this 2011 Mustang GT with the Coyote 5.0. This one is a Gen 1 Coyote, being a 2011. And if you were to, in the example of these two vehicles, pull a little bit of the fueling out so that the car runs a little bit more lean and try to take in a little bit more air at the same time, that would be a way to potentially increase power, and if you use less fuel, you also will get better fuel mileage. In addition, that's just kind of how it works, at least theoretically. And then if you were then to advance the timing ever so slightly, you could get a little bit more power and a little bit better fuel economy out of the Dakota. Now, if you were to do that exact same tune that you could do on that vehicle, which is I mean, those are known for running incredibly rich from the factory. It's one of the reasons why they're such low stress and why they kind of go forever, and also why they get terrible fuel economy. If you were then to apply it to this vehicle, which is not a vehicle that runs as rich from the factory, they still run pretty rich just for safety's sake, but it's also an 11-to-1 compression ratio and is generally designed to run premium fuel like 91 or 93 octane. It can run on 87, but it has to pull out a ton of timing. It's really not what this engine is for. If you were to apply the exact same setup you could do theoretically safely the Dakota on this engine, you could potentially damage the engine with things like knocking or pinging or what, pre-detonation, whatever it may be, and blow this motor with the exact same changes you made to that other engine with no problem. I probably did not describe that as good as I could, but I don't want to go too far into the weeds with this video. It's already gonna probably be too long. But the point is, the idea that this tiny little device will be able to apply or attune flash onto literally any vehicle and achieve better fuel economy, better power, and better torque it's just not possible. You can't do that with any make and model. Legitimate tuning companies using legitimate tuning, handheld tuning devices and tuning software, whatever it may be, that is the reason why you have to select your vehicle. And in the case of the tunes like this from Bama or another aftermarket tuning company, you have to send in specifically what your mods are for your car. You then record with the data log, basically how the car's running, and then send them those files back, and they will give you an updated file to really fine tune it to your specific car. That is not only to actually extract maximum performance, but for maximum safety to your vehicle. A little tuning device that you just plug into any car and don't actually interact with any sort of way, if it was actually tuning every single car it came into contact with, it could be potentially deadly to that vehicle if it's applying the same thing across the board. And you might be thinking, well, couldn't it just measure the information that it's getting from the engine and then make adjustments to it, like how a lot of other tunes with, you know, the vehicle's ECU are designed to work in conjunction with, to essentially fine tune the tune that it uploads? And the answer is theoretically, yes, but the readings that you get for a lot of different parameters when it comes to engine tuning that are ideal for one car could be completely the opposite for another car. For instance, I don't know, I haven't actually gotten a tune on this Focus or something, it's just my wife's daily driver, but say for instance that the air-fuel ratio you would actually want to shoot for with this Focus was just total stoic, which is 14.7 AFR. Say that is what you want this car to be at under wide open throttle. If you were to apply that to like my 08 WRX I used to have, which is a car that loves to run lean, you would blow the engine. You would just blow the engine. So this little device would have to know the ideal targeted parameters for a lot of different things, not just AFR, for every single vehicle it touches to be able to effectively apply a tune to any make and model. Again, not only is that improbable, it's just not possible, especially not on a little $20 plasticky piece of crap device. And now we'll bring up the point of whether these do anything at all. The answer is no. They realistically couldn't in a lot of cases. And there have been videos on this topic. For instance, I mentioned in a comment on this original video I'm talking about where I tried to clear up some of the information I was talking about, that there was an old Mighty Car Mods video from years ago. I'll link it in the description of this video, in which they tested just a cheap performance chip like I'm describing off of, I don't know, whatever it was, eBay or something at the time, to see if it literally made any change to the vehicle. I believe they dynoed the vehicle, and eventually they actually took it apart, examined the PCB, which is the printed circuit board, on the little tuning chip, and found that it literally did not do anything. All it did was power an LED. That is the only thing it did. And there are a lot of examples of things like this that do that exact thing. They just power an LED. They give you the idea that they're working, and from the placebo effect of you assuming you might, without even realizing it, drive a little more carefully, and then you do notice a slight change in MPG. Well, that change is because of your right foot, not because of the cheap piece of junk that you plugged into your car that is literally less useful than that one uncle you have. I'm just kidding, I'm sure he's good for something, tell him I said hi. But let it be mentioned, which is another thing I also said in this video that I'm describing, that some of these don't even plug into the OBD2 of your car. Some of them are designed to plug into the 12-volt outlet or cigarette lighter or whatever in your car, and that doesn't connect to your engine, your vehicle's powertrain in any way. And before you come at me, the electronic systems in your car run off of your alternator, which runs off of the engine when it's started. It all comes from the engine, it doesn't go back into the engine in any way. Plugging something into the 12-volt outlet is not going to do anything. All it's going to do is power the device that's plugged into it. So for instance, the infamous Fuel Shark, same idea as what we're talking about here. It literally can't do anything. It has no way to do anything. It itself is getting powered by the 12-volt outlet, and that's it. It's getting powered. The device is then sending nothing to anything. So let's wrap this whole video up with just touching on the main points of what we discussed. When we say performance chips, we are not talking about a legit performance tune, which can sometimes be described as a performance chip. But when we say performance chip, we mean the ones that are advertised all over the place on all sorts of different, shopping sites or applications that are not for any specific make and model, that say they work for anything and have all these ambitious, totally unrealistic claims for what they do. I am not talking about the performance chip that you installed on your 1989 Ford Probe 20 years ago. I'm talking about these modern day performance chips that make all these ridiculous claims and have no way to back them up. Which goes into our second point. The things that these claim are completely impossible. There is no way that a little device like that can apply a tune to literally any make and model that makes all of these differences. It's not possible. This is not just my opinion, this is fact. You can research this yourself if you don't believe me. I would actually suggest that you do your own research on any particular topic if you're skeptical about it after someone describes something to you that maybe doesn't sound quite right. If you want changes to be made to your vehicle's performance, there is no miracle fix or miracle product to do a lot of these things. These things can be done, adding power, torque, or even improving MPG on occasion in certain different ways. A lot of different modifications can do that. Is a $20 little product off of Amazon or eBay or whatever going to do that? No, it's not going to. Don't waste your money on things like that. So with all of that being said, I hope that that clarified this topic, and if you never saw this video in the first place, I hope that you learned something from this video as well. Please let me know what you think in the comments, but make sure to be respectful. And I also want to apologize to regular viewers of this channel that we did not have an upload at all last week. That is absolutely never my intention, but unfortunately, I was not feeling good at all. Just the way that my schedule's been working, a lot of times these videos have only been filmed one day in advance, which means that I film them and edit them on Friday, and then they go up on Saturday. And Thursday night, I started having a lot of issues with my left ear. And on Friday, I woke up with my ear feeling totally clogged and like just really like achy and in a lot of pain. And I said to my wife about how, oh my God, I have to get a video filmed and I have to get a video done. And thank God for my wonderful wife. She told me, which it's probably good because I don't think I would have done this otherwise and I really needed to. She was like, it's okay to take a break. You can take a break. And so I did, and although I hate not getting videos out, at least one video a week, I really needed that because it turns out that that was a problem that didn't go away, and I actually had to go to the doctor today to get it all sorted out. And I am doing much better than I was because I was in a lot of pain for the past several days. So I'm sorry that I missed that last upload, but rest assured that shouldn't happen again. I am doing a lot better, and sometimes, every once in a while, I have to just make sure that I'm taking care of my health. But I digress. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. And if you really appreciated or liked the video, please consider hitting that like button as well, and I will see you guys all in the next one.